Give people a little bit of time to sign on. We got some time to do a live stream today. I've got some stuff going on. As you guys can see, got a nice little collection we can look at. Just here hanging out. So let's see what we get. You guys let me know. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know if the audio's good. I'd love to hear that. Let me know what you want me to talk about, and we'll discuss it. Also, feel free to get your coffee out with me, and we'll go ahead and have a nice little conversation. Welcome to the Q&A. Feel free to jump on in, ask me any questions you want about the firearms that are listed. I can tell you about where I got them, all that good stuff. You never know. You may like it. We'll see where this goes. We did a live stream yesterday. It was pretty fun. So we'll see what we get. Hello, welcome. Type a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you want to talk about. That's what I'm here for. We're here to discuss. Or you could just drop on in and say hello. Doesn't matter to me. Or you could sit here and have coffee together. You can ask me anything. Hopefully you guys have been catching up on our videos lately. We've been doing some batch content creating. Mostly we've had a lot of shorts come up. And if I see you in the comment section, I'll go ahead and give you a nice little shout out. With the batch content creation, we've got videos that are pretty much being created almost every day. For those of you guys who don't know, we had a good year last year. We had some a live stream. Well, excuse me. We had some videos that pretty much spanned the entire year, so that was kind of cool. Make sure that you guys give me a like, give me a few hearts out there. Let's get this pushed out to more people so we can get more people on this live stream, and you guys can ask me anything you want about the firearms listed. So we got some good stuff here to talk about. Just go ahead and drop your questions in the comment section. And if you guys can see here are the instructions. You can ask me anything, whatever you want. Got some pretty cool stuff we can talk about here. Obviously, you guys like firearms content. That's what we're here for. So, let me know what you guys want to talk about. We'll get started. Thank you. Booty Bandit says, good morning. Well, good morning, Booty Bandit. Thank you for joining in the live stream. Feel free to ask me any question you want, personal or about the firearms listed. That's what I'm here for. Otherwise, I'm just rambling to myself here. Go ahead and give me a like, all that stuff. Make sure that we get this pushed out to more people. We also have some great stuff in the description section of this video, so make sure you take a look at that. That being said, as I was saying, we're looking at batch content creating. We got stuff pretty much pushed out for, starting at the end of this year and working our way back. So We're uploading a video this morning, and then we're also doing, we're trying to do live streams as well, kind of to keep your guys' interest while we wait for those batch content creations to sort of catch up. I know that might be a little bit of a impatient thing here, but regardless, this is just some stuff that we can do for you. And shorts content obviously is one of those things we still do. We made a lot of shorts content at the beginning of the year and all of last year. Uh, but with the shorts content this year, we're going to be batch content creating just like we're doing with our long form videos. So stand by for more of that. If you guys have any questions on the firearms, go ahead and shoot down in the comments section and we'll go ahead and talk about them. But thank you for tuning in, everybody. It's good to see you this morning. I know that it's kind of hard to get on the live streams like this. We started one yesterday. It went pretty well. Went for about an hour. We're gonna try doing one this today. See how long it goes, um, and see who we got. You know, let me know. Drop on in. Drop a comment. Say hello. Let's talk. Have some coffee with me. So, hopefully y'all's day is going very well. Kind of nice sitting here talking to the audience. See what comments we can get and see who we can talk to and who wants to join in. So hopefully you guys are looking at the different firearms here. If you have any questions on it, you don't even have to ask me which one it is. You just type the number down, and that just simply puts it in the comments. I know exactly what you're talking about, and we can just go from there. So you don't even have to know the name of it. But anyway, it is a beautiful morning today. Nice and cold here. So hopefully you guys are on your way to work, already at work. Maybe you're taking a break or you're on your lunch break. So good to see you guys. All right, Booty Bandit says number 3. That is this one over here. That is a Colt Lightning magazine rifle. It was made in the 1880s. Colt is known for their revolvers. However, they did come out with a few rifles, and this was one of them. It is chambered in 4440, and what is so special about this revolver in particular is that it was made for the San Francisco Police Department. It has its own serial number SF258. So a very low serial number, about midway. There were only about 400 of those made. They were all in 44 cal, at least to my knowledge. That is an original. So I have not shot it, but I'm sure it'd be fun to shoot. Bore on it is absolutely pristine. Love it. You know, nice round barrel. I don't know exactly how long the barrel is. I have not measured it. It is a full-length rifle, at least as far as I know. It is not a carbine, I can tell you that much. So the stock and the handle for the slide action is all original. So, you know, and it does have a side loading gate on there, which is kind of neat. For those of you who don't know much about slide actions, at least these type, you're going to have to actually open the action to be able to load it. So something kind of cool there. In addition, it does actually have a dust cover. I know that there are replicas out there that do not have them. So as a result, you're going to have, you know, you're going to just see that. Sometimes on the originals, they could come without them because they're missing. But generally speaking, they come with dust covers. So kind of neat. Also, to my knowledge, these do have the ability to slam fire, so that's kind of neat as well. Um, you know, and for those of you guys who don't know what that means, it means essentially you can hold down the trigger and pretty much just run the action here as fast as you can, and you can fire off rounds pretty quick. So that's kind of neat there. But it does take center fire cartridges. They do have other guns. They do have other variants that came in different calibers. However, uh, no, I'm not going to try that. Is that going to stop? Yeah, finally. Anyway, they did come in different calibers, but this one is in 44 cal. So 44 WCF or 4440. But on the barrel, it's marked 44 cal. The bluing on it is absolutely really nice. However, I will say that unfortunately, uh, the the, uh, the the frame does have some wear on it, but you can tell that it is a Colt because it has the Rampant Colt insignia on it. It's on the opposite end of the firearm, which is kind of neat. So, anyway, thanks for asking the question. If you have any follow up questions, please let me know. Drop them down in the comments section. We'll go ahead and have a conversation. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed that. Thank you. Give me a like, all that stuff. Get this pushed out to everybody. Hopefully, I know it's been a while since we've done live streams, but we try to get people on here. And, we also do have some interviews that we're trying to get set up with our live streams. Hopefully, you guys are going to be into that. Um, as long as we get them set up, we'll go ahead and bring people on. We got a few channels in the chute that we're going to try and talk to, both big and small. So that's something. And if you're interested in doing a live stream with me at some point, you can always contact me in my email. Send it to me and I can set that up. You have to have a YouTube channel. So unfortunately, we don't just bring people on who don't have a platform. But, it also depends on what you're trying to do as well. So, but anyway, but that's the whole point, is to try to interview people. But go ahead and ask me questions about the guns we got, about our firearms collection. For those of you who don't know, in this channel, we do have a lot of Western firearms and a lot of interesting different types of firearms for you guys. We have a number of them, and as a result, uh, you guys get to see a lot of different pieces of history. So feel free to ask me about it. This is not a comprehensive list. However, we can talk about other firearms if you want. That is up to you. So otherwise, I'm just going to be here rambling to myself until somebody decides to ask a question. So good morning to everybody. Thank you for jumping on. So grab your coffee. Let's have a conversation. So far, we've had someone ask a question about number 3. Go ahead and enter it in the chat, and we'll go ahead and get going. Hopefully, we get some good engagement. We'll be on here for a little while, see who wants to jump in and say hello. Anyway. You can ask me anything on these. That's what this is all about. This is all about building community and all about enhancing your interest. That's why I do it. I love doing it. Proud to do it. So, if you have any follow-up questions, just shoot it down in the comment section. We'll go from there. This channel's doing really well. We've got over 88,000 subscribers, so that's pretty nice. Obviously, not everybody watches the channel all the time, and it is what it is. That's just the nature of YouTube. But we're here, and if those people have their notifications on, then you guys can always come back to us. So we're planning to be here for quite some time. So. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in. Feel free to ask me any questions. We're going to be here for a while. If you guys want to talk about anything or you want to talk about the firearms, just drop it down in the comments section. Let's get a conversation started. This is a Q&A, so that's what we're here for. I try to answer your questions live. So, first come, first serve. What Old West gun would you want to see reproduced? Well, um, I have not seen it yet, but the one I would like to see reproduced would be the Evans repeater, or the Evans rifle, or the Evans carbine. I have seen originals. I have held originals. They're very interesting. By the way, thank you for saying hi. So, hello back and good morning. But I would like to see the Evans repeater brought back into maybe the replica world if they're willing to do it. It is a complicated piece of equipment, but nonetheless, it is very interesting in its own way, and it was utilized. So that's something that you just have to appreciate. It was a very thing that I think was ahead of its time. We do have firearms that are like it, mainly in the fact of helical magazines. Um, I think that's pretty cool. But that was one of the first of its type, and I would like to see that come back. And plus, it had a rather large capacity, so you're talking. I don't know exactly how many rounds it held, but your standard lever action rifle typically, as far as I know, I think the 1866 held up to 17 rounds. The Henry was well known for 16. They called it the 16 shooter. But the 1866, I think, had in the musket variants could hold up to 17 rounds. And I think the Evans repeater at the time could hold 20 or more. I'm not sure. But anyway, thank you for the question. That is what I would like to see reproduced. If you have any other questions, please let me know. It's pretty interesting. Thank you for asking that question. We also do have some upgrades to the channel. We have a new mic. It is wireless, so that's kind of cool. Um, Hopefully you guys can hear me loud and clear. Obviously, if you didn't, you'd be letting me know. And we got another question here. For me, I know it's a long shot, but the Borchardt C93 is a gun I'd like to see reproduced. Yes, I think that would be interesting too. I definitely would like to get that, maybe an original, but obviously they're going to be extremely expensive. But with this channel, as you can see, we really spare no expense. So maybe we'll have one of those on the channel one of these days, obviously, as we're working on our collection of the weird, wild, and interesting of the Wild West firearms here. Um, but yeah, that's an interesting firearm that I would like to see reproduced. You could also say that the Mauser C96 is another one. Um, Man, see what else. I mean, they could come up with Lugers. The problem with that is they still have enough originals. So people would want to find the originals first, probably. But if they dry up, then that would be another one that would be cool. They're obviously already remaking things like the 1911, and many different companies are doing that. So that's just kind of neat as well. Um, what else can we reproduce as far as different um, firearms? Man. Thanks for the question, though. That works. Let me know what else you want to talk about. I have topics up here that we can discuss if you want to talk about those, or we can just talk about anything having to do with the Old West or firearms in general. Um, for those of you guys who don't know, we try to do these live streams every once in a while. With this is no exception. We did one yesterday, but we're trying to get more engagement and be able to have more content. Uh, Nova View says for me, nope, 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 nope. Okay, never mind. That wasn't a new question. Already answered that one. But yeah, you have my answer on what I'd like to see reproduced. Obviously, we got some really good reproductions being made in this day and age, so I think that's really nice. Um, no small chance of running into things that would keep your interest. Go ahead and give this video a like if you're on here. Let us know that you're enjoying this content, or if you're not, let us know too. We always like hearing from our audience, but let's get this video out there to all our viewers and, make sure that they know that this is going on and, maybe they have questions and actually want to attend this. So, anyway, yeah, thanks. Thanks for giving me a like there. Appreciate it. If you got more questions, let me know. Good to see you all. Thank you. It is nice and warm today. It is sunny outside, so that's great. Um, Ask me other questions, by all means. We're talking about my firearms collection today. This is not all of them, obviously, if you guys have been following the channel for some time. So, therefore, we are just kind of going through it. I know that some of you guys have seen some of our videos in which we have done impressions on them. Some of these we have done breakdowns on. Go and watch my long form content for that. But if you have other questions on it, let's go ahead and have a conversation. So I just brought a sample on here to begin with, and we'll see where this goes. But thanks for tuning in so far. If you're still here, cheers. Mm. Ah, you know. Krusty Meme Short says hello. Hey, Krusty. If that's what you want me to call you, just for short. Good to see you. Go ahead and give this video a like. Ask me a question. We're here for the next several minutes. I don't know exactly how long this live stream is going to go, but it really depends on the engagement we get and obviously time constraints. So, you know, enjoy. Hopefully, you guys can ask questions and we can go from there. We're just enjoying our time together. Nova View says, I mainly lean towards old school, low caliber semi automatic pistols. Okay, well, you know what's kind of interesting is I actually do have a few of those. I have a Colt 1903, if you're very familiar with it. It's kind of similar to the FN 1903 with some differences. But I do have one of those. So it is a semi-auto pistol. It's the pocket hammerless version. It is in 32 caliber. I believe it was made in the 1920s based on the serial number. I could be wrong. Um, but I do have one of those. So yes, I do share your interest in things like that. I do kind of want to add to the collection with that. I'm specifically looking for things like the Browning, the Colt 1908 vest pocket, the Colt 1908 hammerless, the FN 1900, things like that. Those are really good guns to kind of start getting into. The 25 ACP I think is kind of neat too. It's just small, but still center fire. But it's bigger than a 22. Although I'm sure the ballistics are probably dismal, but I am not going to, sit here and spout the logic on that one, nor am I going to talk about the fact and preach it as such. Say, everything on here, please take with a grain of salt. I could get something wrong, and that's okay. Um, I have no issues with criticism. That's fine. But thank you for tuning in. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and type the number of the corresponding firearm in the comments section, and I will talk about it, kind of give you a brief description of it. You guys can have follow-up questions to it, but thank you for tuning in. As always, give this video a like. Let's get out there. Let's go ahead and get some people interested in this stuff and push it out to someone who might want to watch it. We got some pretty neat stuff to talk about. Um, so let's get started. Thank you. But yeah. I'd say the low caliber. I really like the low caliber kind of pocket pistols. I think they're really neat for recoil management. You can get off some really quick shots with those things. I think that's great. And I think you can stay on target with them. Obviously the recoil management is there, and there are mostly all steel guns from what I've seen. I could be wrong on a few of them, but I'm thinking of the Savage 1910. I'm thinking of the Colt 1903, the Colt 1908, the Colt 1908 Vest Pocket, the FN 1900. There could be a few there. Hey, Lee Morris Jr. says, hello, Pard. Let's go with number 3. Tired of hearing about number 4. What? You're tired of hearing about number 4? That's one of my favorites. But yeah, okay, let's go ahead and talk about number 3. For those of you who don't know, that is a Colt Lightning magazine rifle. It was made in 1884. It has a serial number specified specifically to its block of making, which means it has a very low serial number. The serial number is SF, standing for San Francisco Police Department, SFP 258. There were only 400 of them made. It is in 44 cal, 44 WCF, or 4440 for those of you who aren't necessarily caring about that. It is 44 caliber. However, it is only marked 44 caliber, and it is a full-length rifle variant. It is not a carbine, so don't worry about that. The parts on it are all original. The bluing on it is probably about 90% on the barrel. On the frame, it's less so, which is kind of interesting. But it's a big bore, very fast shooting. It does have a dust cover on it. It does have a side loading gate. Additionally, it also has the ability to slam fire. Just kind of interesting out there. If you have any questions furthermore about that, please let me know. Trapper Paul says hello. Thank you for tuning in. Glad we're dropping in on this one. Give me a nice little salute there. I'll salute you back, partner. Go ahead and give this thing a like. Push this out. We want to get more people involved. You can ask me anything about the channel, about the guns, or whatever you want to talk about today. We'll be here for a while. Thank you. Let's go drop it down in the comment section. Let's go ahead and get started. I know it kind of takes a while for people to wake up. It is early in the morning where I'm at. Not necessarily super early, but I mean, I guess unless you're at work, which of course that could be, but maybe you're on a break or you could sneak away. Trapper Paul says, do you own all of these? Yes, I do. And the reason why I do not have them physically here is because YouTube's live streams do not permit firearms to be held by the individuals who are doing the live streaming. There have been many channels that have lost their live stream capability because of that. They have received strikes on their channel because of it. And also, it just stops mid-video and then I got to start over. So I don't want to do that. So I went ahead and I took pictures of it. I tried to get it to fit into the background so, you guys could at least somewhat see these things with clarity. and we could kind of get started. But yes, I do own all of them. So this is whatever I'm talking about is something I do have experience with and I do personally have. Trapper Pulse's beautiful collection. Thank you. This is not the entire collection. This is just a portion of it. So, you guys can just ask me some questions about it. I have more guns that I could bring on in future live streams. I look forward to doing that as well. So, we're going to do that too. But we thought we'd start with four, mainly with the sheer fact that yesterday we did it with pistols. You guys can look at the previous live stream on that if you wish. Don't go away from this one right now because that one's old news. But on top of that, when we had all the pistols, it took me a while to kind of get it configured so you could actually see the firearms. And I think we fit a total number of 8 firearms in that one. Um, Ironically, not everyone got a chance to ask about all of them, but we have had 2 conversations now about number 3. If you guys want to talk about any of the other firearms, please let me know. We haven't gotten into that, but you know, uh, Nova View says, let's say hypothetically you were in a Western. Would you carry a Krag Jorgensen? Um, I mean, yeah, okay, so I do love lever actions. Bolt guns are okay. I prefer lever actions in general, so I would say not really. But then again, I guess it would also depend on what I'm trying to do. I think I do actually have a Krag. So, Krag Jorgensen's are unique design. I like the side loading portion. The fact that it was a military firearm and adopted by the U.S. military is another thing worthy of note. It is smokeless powder, so that is kind of cool. On top of the fact that the bolt is very smooth, just the way that everything is designed. So it kind of has a tendency to have some issues with, at least mine, does have issues with loading, just because I think the spring is a little loose. But it's an older firearm. It has been well worn. For all I know, it could have come back from the Spanish American War. I don't remember everything about it, but it's been used and abused by its previous owner. So would I carry it? Preferably not, just because it's not as handy in my opinion. So no, not really. Stephen Sheets, hey Stephen, thank you for joining us. Good afternoon, everyone. Next week it will be my 3rd open mic night when guest Slick Six Guns and other guest stars. Yes, I do plan on being Stephen's channel next week. So thank you for giving us that shout out. Let's go ahead and talk about number 3. No, that is not a pump shotgun. Number 3 right here is a Colt Lightning magazine rifle. It is not a shotgun, but thank you for asking. Let's go ahead and get more conversations going. Thank you. Hopefully that answers your question, Nova View. But thank you for posing that. You can always ask me more follow-ups if you wish. Hopefully you guys got good picture, you got good sound. Let me know in the comment section otherwise. Please give this video a like, subscribe if you're not subscribed to the channel. I know that's kind of cheesy to say, but I do kind of have to put it out there for people. So, all right. But thank you for tuning in, everybody. Cheers. Nova View says, Red Dead Redemption 2 basically got me into Western stuff and period stuff. Perfect. I think that is absolutely outstanding. And you know what? I am a Red Dead Redemption fanatic myself. I had the original Red Dead Redemption. I did play Red Dead Revolver. And I also played Red Dead Redemption 2 extensively. It's one of the few games that I do still play, given the fact of, I'm very busy most of the time. But when I do have time, I do play Red Dead Redemption 2. that was something that I thought was going to be a great catalyst to get people into the Western firearms, into the Western shooting sports. And I think it did exactly that just by the comment that you posted. So it kind of revived the Western genre. And essentially, it's just like back in the 1950s when they started making Westerns and people, kids are starting to get into that back then. Same thing now. So we're kind of have that revitalization. So I'm glad that Red Dead Redemption 2 kind of inspired you. Feel free to join this channel if you're not already joined. We cover all the Western stuff, equipment, guns, sports, all that. So plan to do eventually a video on the guns of Red Dead Redemption 2 to kind of coincide with what we got here. Um, I know that the game itself doesn't label the guns as the actual names of them, just because I'm sure for trademark reasons, but we can talk about that. Stephen Sheets says, number 4, what weapon is that? Number 4 over here is a Henry rifle. That is actually a replica by Uberti, and it is, if you notice, it is actually in a different color. It is in a color case hardening here, but it's supposed to replicate what was known as the iron frame Henrys. Those were the earlier variants of the Henry rifle. There were very few of them made. It is in 45 Colt here. The originals were in 44 rimfire or 44 flat, 44 Henry, whatever you want to call it. It has a integral magazine with the barrel. The magazine is not separated. It's got a follower down here at the bottom that you have to bring all the way to the top and twist the barrel. And as a result, when you drop the rounds in, you just drop them straight down into they go straight into the chamber area, and then you have to move the follower and drop it down. It doesn't have a loading gate. So that was one of the things with it. The wood on it, I could care less about it, but I just like the fact that I have an iron frame Henry, and as I said, it is in one of my favorite calibers, 45 Colt, so it is a modern replica of that, not an original. I do use it in cowboy action shooting, and it's a good gun, in my opinion. Let's see what else we got. Nova View says, my favorite loadout in that game was the C93, the Carcano rifle, and the meat cleaver. Yeah, the Carcano rifle is pretty good. I actually prefer the rolling block myself. The C93, I personally prefer the FN 1900. I think in that game, the FN 1900 is supposedly one of the more powerful ones, but I'm either going to carry that, the Schofield, or the Cattleman. So, that's just my opinion. And I do like the shotguns as well. Usually, with the shotguns, I usually like picking up either the lever action or the 1897, which is the pump action one. The double barrel is great too. Very interesting, very classic. Okay. Steven says, at number 2, Clint Eastwood's weapon from Unforgiven. That kills little Bill. What is it? That number 2 is what we're talking about. Number 2 is a Spencer carbine replica. It is not an original. However, it is made in Italy, imported, I think, by Chiappa, or it's manufactured by Chiappa. I can't remember. But that thing holds 7 rounds in the butt over here. It's not in the front end. It's actually back here, and then by spring pressure, you use this lever here and then get it up into the chamber. You have to manually cock the hammer, which is an additional step, but it is still a lever action. It is legal in cowboy action shooting, and have I used it? Yes, I have. It is extremely frustrating to utilize if you don't know how to operate it. There is a method to do it relatively quickly, faster than, say, a musket. And, I don't think it's as fast as, the regular lever actions with the toggle link. I'm sure there's someone out there who can run it faster than that, but I have yet to do it myself. Doesn't mean that you can't. but I think that would be rather difficult. It is a carbine variant. I don't know exactly how long the barrel is. I'd have to measure it for you. It has one barrel band on it, and it is a color case hardened frame here. Just a beautiful looking gun. It does have a saddle ring on it as well, so it could be used as a cavalry arm, which is what they were originally designed for. And they did come out with rifle variants as well, which would have been the infantry variants. But thank you for asking about that, Stephen. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying that. But yes, it was featured in Unforgiven. Thanks for asking. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and just be here for a while and talk and all that good stuff. Feel free to drop in and out. We'll be here. NovaView says, out of all the RDR2 characters, I honestly liked Strauss. Why did you like Strauss? I'm curious about that. That is kind of interesting. Um, Strauss is obviously he's very crooked, even for that bunch. But I wouldn't say he was one of my favorite characters. I think it is kind of interesting in what he represents as far as character development and the storyline. But he's not really my favorite. But you know, you can take a guess at which one my favorite was. Jack Dorsey says, "Hi Slick. Number one, is that a 22? Number one is up here for everyone. Number one is a 22. It is a Ruger 1022. It was one of the first guns that I actually had. It is modified a little bit because 1022s are well known for their versatility and modularity. So you guys can actually see that it's got a bipod on it. It's also got a scope mounted on it. It is a semi-auto. I do have the 10-round drum magazines that go with it typically. There are larger ones depending on the state that you live that you could get. Um, you know, that's just something that you kind of have to take into account there. Anyway, yes, it is a 22. It shoots 22 long rifle. That is what is able to be chambered, and it was originally my father's gun before he passed. Yeah. Thanks for asking, though. Great. Guys can ask me any follow-up questions you wish. Feel free to give this video a like. If you're not subscribed to the channel, be sure to subscribe. We always like getting new subscribers on here. We love educating people. That's what this channel is all about. And obviously kind of just showing you all the different firearms that there are. Thanks for tuning in. All you guys who are still here, I'll drink to that. Jack Dorsey says you're welcome. I apologize if I have to lean into the screen. I'm trying to get the screen exactly to where I can read it without having to lean in, but unfortunately, just because of the background and the way that the light is positioned, it's kind of hard. But if I position the light anywhere else, you're not going to be able to see my face very well. And that's kind of important, you know, to a live stream. You want good imagery and all that stuff. Hopefully, you know, you guys are getting that. I can see it on my screen. It looks pretty good. All that stuff. Yeah. It's all good. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Yeah, we got some cool stuff coming up. Those of you guys who don't know, we got some cool stuff coming up to talk about. Um, we do have a lot of batched content. For those of you guys who aren't familiar with that term, we are having a lot of content being backlogged uploaded and will eventually come out in rather quick succession. It's a great way for us to stay on schedule, as our schedule has a tendency to be a little bit hectic at times. Um, so that's great. Fake plastic tree says, "Do you only have cowboy guns?" The answer to that is no, I do not. I have more. I can always bring other guns on here. Yesterday we featured a Glock 19X. Today, as far as modern firearms are concerned, I do have a Ruger 1022, which is not really a cowboy gun, but it is an older firearm, an older design, older Ruger design, if you will. But no, I don't. We are essentially, we do cover a lot of things that have to deal with Western firearms. That is one of our major focuses. However, what we are doing is we are slowly transitioning to be uh, a gun channel in general. We have niched down far enough to where we think we need to expand, so we're probably going to have to feature more content than just Western firearms if we want to get other people interested. However, a lot of people are interested in the Western guns. So that's why a lot of people originally came to this channel, and we are not stopping that at all. You'll also see that I have different forms of attire to match the firearm that I'm talking about. This is just one of them. So we definitely dress with the times. So just kind of interesting there. But thank you for asking that. I hope that clarifies. Pardon me if I yawn on camera. I was up late last night. I was tired. Man. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Feel free to ask me questions. We talk about just anything and everything on here, but I always like to have a topic. But we can talk about anything. Some of you guys have been with the channel for quite some time. Some of you not so much. So this is a great way for you to get to know me and me to get to know you, and we just have a conversation and enjoy our time. So that's why we're here, to provide for the audience and give you guys some stuff to look at and discuss. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it. But give us a like. Go ahead and spread out the word so that we can get more people on the channel. I'd love to have people watch the channel more often. I know that it's been kind of hard just because live streams, it's not something we do all the time. We do have a live stream playlist, and I can't remember exactly how many videos we have on it. We have done them in the past. We don't do them that often. The last one we did was yesterday, but before that, we did one about 8 months ago. So we're kind of trying to see what we can do with the live streams. I would like to include them more often in our content making just because I think it'd be very fun for the audience. Jack Dorsey says, at one time, didn't you have a coach shotgun? Yes, I still have it. Um, it's just not featured here. So right now, what we're doing is we're just kind of talking about the guns that we have, because I know that in sometimes in the long form videos, we typically talk about one firearm. And if you have a question, sometimes you want to leave a comment, but you don't necessarily have time to. So we try to answer it in real time with these live streams. That's why we're bringing them on. But obviously, with the way that YouTube is, I cannot necessarily bring on firearms with a live stream, because otherwise we will get shut down. And I don't want that to happen. So I unfortunately have to bring you pictures, and I can only have so many firearms in a picture before you can't tell what they are. So we're just kind of going through the collection. So it is not a comprehensive list right now. It's just the four that I have. But I can also bring up the shotgun at some point in other live streams. Thank you. Number one looks pretty modern. Yes, it is. It is a Ruger 1022. Um, so once again, I have a conglomerate of firearms. I have modern as well as, um, you know, historical ones that have to do with the Western shooting sports and just Western history in general. Number one does have a particular history with me because it was one of the first firearms that I had. Additionally, it was originally my father's, and unfortunately, he has passed away. It has now fallen to me in my possession, and it's just a 22 long rifle, 1022 Ruger. Uh, Stainless, still in great shape, very solid design, very solid gun itself. I enjoy it. It works great. Had it for over 20 years. So we're coming up on 50 minutes right now for our live stream. We're almost at an hour. We'll probably do this for another 15 minutes, but ask your questions. So far, we got some pretty good engagement. Very thoughtful questions. Thank you for jumping in on that. Make sure that you guys like it if you haven't already liked the video. I know it's kind of hard to do that. Live streams are kind of weird when it comes to giving some type of engagement. Um, I know for a fact that it is because every time I see someone I like with a live stream and I want to engage with it, it's kind of difficult. Um, I can't necessarily tell you from just sitting here how to do it, but you would probably have to go to the description and take a look there. Okay. Also, did you catch why I like Strauss? No, I did not, but I'll look. I'll take a look. I don't see your answer on that. No, but please do tell me why do you like Strauss? I would like to hear. Uh, Random Hero says, "What are your top three movie guns, excluding Quigley's Sharps rifle because that's goat status?" Top three movie guns. Well, I would say Dancing with Wolves, uh, the Henry that Kevin Costner uses. Um, what else? Uh, I really like Wild Bunch, so 1911s is another thing that I think is cool. So the 1911, the original, not the A1 variant, I think is also another good movie gun that they utilized in that movie. So I would say the 1911. Um, Also, I would say probably John Wayne's 1892 is another one that is iconic. So, just that's my opinion as far as top three movie guns, excluding Quigley Down Under. Of course, the Sharps rifle. I actually do have one. It is not up here, but we can always talk about it in another live stream. Uh, but I do use it. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. Go ahead and give us a like, give us a subscribe, all that stuff. Let us know what you guys want to talk about. We're already at 5 likes. The way live streams work is the more you like it, the more it gets pushed out to people, especially your own subscribers. So I would like to see that, but we'll see what happens. Um, Feel free to give it a like and subscribe and ask me your questions and all that stuff. If you guys have any questions on the firearms or follow up, feel free to let me know. I know it kind of sounds like I'm just rambling on. I am because no one's really asking me the question. So I just kind of want to, I got to talk about something. Otherwise, you're just kind of staring at a mannequin here. Um, but anyway, but yeah, thank you for giving me that like. Great to see you guys. Awesome. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in. I try to give you guys a shout out if you leave a comment. So, granted, if we get enough people and everybody's putting out comments, it's kind of hard to do that, but here we go. You know, we'll see what happens. But yeah, hopefully y'all are having a good day. We got some people coming up on live streams here next week as well. Not on my channel, but on someone else's, so I'll be on there. Feel free to tune into that. Additionally, we're trying to get other channels to do live streams with us, so feel free to jump on and join us, and that'll be fun. Okay, AT Smith Custom Creation says 3. How different is the feel of the Lightning compared to levers? Okay, so good question there. I would say that uh, it's a little bit lighter, just with the way that the build is. The frame is shorter, so that kind of adds to the lightness. The barrel is round, so you don't have the octagonal round there. I think it's a little bit awkward. The stroke of that thing is really short comparative to what you would think of, say, like a shotgun, a modern shotgun, or an older one that is a standard pump. So it kind of it's if you haven't done it before, which if you've handled something similar like a gallery gun, a Winchester 1890 or 1906, I could see that you probably would be used to it, but it is awkward, um, not having that lever there. You're just sliding it, and something I think you could get used to after a time. But it does feel different for sure. Definitely. I think the balance is a little bit more barrel heavy, obviously, considering that the magazine obviously is forward with the ammunition once it's fully loaded, plus the barrel. And it is a full length rifle, so yeah, it's pretty heavy up front. Um, Whereas the toggling lever actions might be a little bit more balanced. Personally, as far as balance is concerned, I think one of the better balanced firearms that I have is a Winchester 1892. I think that is a very well balanced rifle. So, good stuff. Thank you for asking that question. I hope I gave you a nice, good answer there. But yeah, ask me more questions. As I was saying, we got more people coming up on live streams. We're shooting out invitations to large and small channels, hopefully, to bring them on to not only attract more people who are possibly interested in this, and obviously just to kind of get our names out there. The way my channel has been, it comes and goes. So basically, it has a lot to do with me. I apologize, guys. I'm not a very consistent person when it comes to uploading. And I explained this yesterday, but basically, what we do is like 2 years, our first 2 years, for those of you who don't know, sorry, we have done this channel for about 7 years. For the first 2 years, we consistently uploaded videos. Um, and I think it was typically one a week. However, I will say that kind of slowed down after a while. I ended up having a few things happen in my life, and things kind of slowed down. And for about 2 years, I kind of took a break. Didn't really post a whole lot, and then I kind of got back into it, and surprise, surprise, not a whole lot of people were back watching. So it's kind of like I'm starting over again to an extent, but we've been consistently posting something for the last 3 years. We've been really going hard at it, trying to make sure that we're putting out stuff for the audience, trying to put out interesting stuff, hopefully good stuff, stuff that you guys want. But you never know. We got a few people that commented. AT Smith Custom Creation says, "You did. Thank you. I'm glad I answered your question." He also says, "You should contact Desert Armory and more." Is that a YouTube channel? Is that a gunsmithing institute similar to SDI? What is that? I would like to know more. Nova View said hi. I think you said hi already, but I'll say hi again. Thank you for coming back. Maybe you took a break. Have you did a Quigley challenge? Jack Dorsey asked. No, I have not. If you're talking about doing like the 700-yard shot, that's pretty hard to do with the area I'm in, unfortunately. I would probably have to do something to scale. Maybe shoot something a lot smaller at a shorter distance, and that would probably give you an equivalent. But obviously, you're going to have issues with the ballistics on that one. But anyway, no, I have not done a Quigley challenge. I have not done a competition as well. I know that they have Quigley matches up in the northern United States, specifically in Montana and Wyoming. I have not gone to one of those. I think it's pretty neat though. People shoot out to like 1,000 yards plus with those things, and it is amazing to see that those rifles can really do a good job. A.T. Smith Custom Creation says it's a YouTube channel. Okay, I'll take a look at it. Thanks for letting me know. Um, Nova View says YouTube keeps burying my answers. I apologize, man. Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes stuff gets missed. You can still continue on with the conversation on Levi on Strauss, but if you are getting frustrated with that and I'm not answering with it, I apologize. Uh, Here you go. I think it finally showed up. Strauss was loyal to the end even after he got kicked out and he was just a loan shark. I don't see how that's any worse than the crimes that the rest of the game was doing. Um, yeah, I guess you could say that. I think, is partially because of Arthur Morgan's change of heart. Uh, that kind of happened, and, what happened with Strauss. But, you know, he still isn't one of my favorite characters. But yeah, they're just not good people in general. Good storyline. The only one that I think has any virtue, if you will, is the women, specifically Sadie and the black girl. I can't remember her, but you know. And then there is the writer. I think that was Mary, um, or I could be wrong. Maybe that was Arthur's girlfriend. Uh, but yeah, there were some good female characters in there too. So, but thank you for letting me know. Ah, her name was Tilly. Yeah, sorry. I knew it ended in a Y. Thank you. Yeah. Oh man. Well, we're getting some good conversation on here. Thank you all for jumping on. Glad that we're talking about this stuff. We just definitely want to know if you guys like these kind of live streams. I kind of change it up with the Q&As every now and then. So, sometimes the topics get very specific. Problem with that is usually we don't get a whole lot of people because the topic doesn't interest them. So we're trying to keep it more broad with the Q&As, just to get more people interested. So hopefully you guys are enjoying that. But yeah, yep, yep. So, but yeah, the channel's doing great, getting a lot of support. Glad you guys are following all that stuff. Obviously this channel definitely does get its fair share of hate, just like with any other channel. But we don't care here. We just keep doing what we're doing because we know that there are people out there who love what we do. So, A.T. Smith Custom Creation says Six Guns question Colt 1871 versus Remington 1875. Which would you pick? If you're talking about the originals, I would probably say the Remington 1875 because it's a centerfire gun. The 1871 was developed as a rimfire originally. I'm sure there are conversions out there, but there were also only 7,000 of those made. The Remington 1875, I'm not sure how many of those were made, but I would say just because it is a centerfire gun, I would probably prefer it. Although, to be honest with you, I am a huge fan of open tops, just open top looks, even though the 1871 is referred to as the Colt open top. Um, you can tell I talk a lot about this thing. I do have a replica of a Colt 1871. It's not on here. Um, I think it might be in yesterday's live stream. Maybe I'll bring it back on here if that sparks enough interest. Unfortunately, uh, the open top that I have, obviously, one is not original, so it is center fire. The barrel itself is not historically accurate. The finish is nickeled. The loading gate on it, or excuse me, the ejector rod is a little bit different compared to a standard ejector rod, which you would see. And to my knowledge, the Remington 1875 has an interesting way of getting the cylinder out. I'm not 100% sure on that though. Uh, you could equally say the same thing for the Colt open top, because you have to take the whole thing apart. Um, yeah, I'd say the Remington 1875. That's my opinion. Replica wise, I don't think it matters, but definitely if you're talking originals, uh, I don't think I want. Jack Dorsey says, "Good show. Keep it up." All right. Well, thank you. I'm glad you're liking the content. We are always trying to improve our content. As you can see with the thumbnails that we put on, we try to be pretty artistic with it. Typically, I don't really utilize a whole lot of AI in my stuff. I have used AI for scripts sometimes, but I usually proofread those so that they're historically accurate, because AI definitely gets things wrong. We try to be one of the more authentic channels, more historically accurate channels with you guys. Keep in mind that we are not always 100% correct. I understand that. I do get people that do correct me on some of this stuff. However, you got to be careful with those people, even just because they are repeating something that they heard and not necessarily looking at what they know themselves. So I do have a tendency to call that out when I see it. But for the most part, people usually explain why they think I'm wrong. So, and that's what I prefer. If we're going to have dialogue, I prefer to have somebody explain why I'm wrong rather than just regurgitate something they heard and then not follow up. So, but yeah, you know, thanks, Jack. Always a good follower of the channel. You've been loyal to us and stayed with us and kept watching our content, so I'm glad you're here. AT Smith Custom Creations says, "Would you own a Colt 1877 even with their issues?" And the answer to that is yes. Um, I have had the fortunate chance to run into a lot of people that have owned them. I have seen them in shops. I have seen them um, at gun shows. Uh, People that I personally know have had them. It is a very interesting design. The issues themselves, um, even though people say they don't like them, I mean, I haven't seen the internals of one. Uh, Obviously, it's probably a little bit more complicated than the Colt Single Action Army, just because double actions have a tendency to be that way. And obviously, the positions of some of the stuff is, you know, the positions of some of the different stuff is, kind of frustrating and different to learn. But it is a interesting design nonetheless. Yes, I would own one. The better question I think would be is which one would I own, and I would say it would have to be the 41 caliber, because they came in 22, 38, and 41, I believe. I could be wrong on that. Maybe it's 44 Colt. I'm not sure. I know that they do have 38 Colt, and I think it was 22. Now, whether it was 38 long Colt, short Colt, I not sure. But, you know. All right, AT Smith Customs Creation says, "I subscribed. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the subscription, man. That's always good to hear." Um, my feed could probably be annoying to you. I'll just be that straight up. We post typically every day. For those of you who don't know, we have at least one post every day for the rest of this year. So for 2026, you guys will be receiving a post every day. Now, when it comes to videos, we're batch content creating. We did a batch content creation a couple months ago in which we ended up having roughly about, I want to say, 30 to 60 videos made. Uh, yeah, I think and that has been pretty good for us so far. It's kind of helped people get back into the rhythm. We're trying to do that again. Our videos are projected all the way out to December of this year, and we're working our way backwards. So I ask that you please just be patient. But, with the live streams, we hope we can kind of keep you guys entertained and that the posts do as well. But once you see those videos, they'll just keep rolling, and hopefully we'll just have one video every day for like the next 20 years. That would be awesome. Um, AT Smith Customs Creation says, you were correct to begin with 22, 38 long colt and 41 long colt. Okay, yeah, I figured it was somewhere around there. Like I said, I don't own one, but I would prefer the larger caliber ones. And as far as the frame size, they're smaller than the single action armies. So I think the 41 is a little bit more applicable. Um, one caliber that I think is really interesting uh, is the uh, uh, can't remember it. I had a blank. It'll come back to me. My apologies. Yeah, probably got about another 10 minutes on the show before we got to get off and get to doing other things. But thanks for y'all are watching, and we're having a good time here. So, but yeah. Ooh. But yeah, we'll go ahead and take a look and all that good stuff. Oh man. Yeah, we've been going for almost an hour and a half here. So we got about another 20 minutes until we reach the hour and a half mark, but we'll see what we do. Cheers to everyone still on. Sorry that I keep cutting in and out. It's because I got a green screen behind me. I've had the green screen for quite some time. I think it adds a lot more clarity to the videos. Helps out. At least I think so. All right. Um, AT Smith Custom Creation says, would you own a reproduction Winchester 1876 in 5095? Yes, I would. I have seen one before. It was a, uh, oh, what do you call it? It was a half magazine one. I'm not a huge fan of the half magazines. If they had a 5095 with a full length magazine tube, I would get it. 5095 half magazine isn't as interesting to me. I think I would prefer an original in 4575, um, or 4560. So just because it's a big gun, it's a giant, enormous 1873. So um, I'm trying to get an original on that one, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Cimarron makes the full magazine version. Yeah, it's been a while since I've checked out their catalog, so I'm sure they do more variants. I just remember that when they first came out, they were the half magazine versions, and I think that was modeled after a specific style. Um, but yeah, so that's great. I'm glad they make them. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in. I think what we're going to go ahead and do is call it a day. But thank you for tuning in to us. We've been going for almost an hour and a half. Thank you to everybody in the comments section, and I'll see you in the next one.